Is Ben Abatello. Ben, come on up.
Thanks, John. Yep, and the green button. Thank you, John. Am I on? Perfect. How's everyone doing today? I know I'm in between activities and you're eating, so I'll try to keep you guys engaged, and I'm going to speak at you. I'm not here to pitch Hivestack. I'm here to pitch some of the tools that we possess, as well as some of the other SSPs. Lucy did a great job earlier, as well as some of the other brand presentations that touched upon some of the highlights that I'm going to touch upon. So let's jump in. So what's next for digital home, out of home? Well, there's no sign of slowing down. We're now a third of the overall spend, and it's a really interesting holistic inventory sources out there that kind of represent a number of different diversified environments. To see place-based grow to a third is really interesting, but there's reasons why. What you've noticed is we got hit the worst, right? No one left their homes, no one was going to stores, so pretty precipitous drop, almost 41%, but we're on our way back. And some of the reasons why we're on our way back are what I'm going to discuss, but you saw some of this from Lucy earlier. You're seeing some of what we could be. I think these numbers are conservative. There's only more screen environments becoming available. Therefore, I think these projections might be a little conservative. Let's discuss why. There's lots of trends. The first trend I'm going to talk about is personal and contextual relevance. We've seen this already, but basically, you got to hit the right audience at the right time with the right message. We're now able to do this. Currently, sometimes we build out and carve out a schedule and then downshift that or send it downstream to a CMS player. That is very static approach. It's prone to human error. You're carving out space, and therefore, you're not really agile thereafter. Well, this is changing. It's changing in a big way. What we're able to do is create multiple creatives that speak to multiple audiences. And we're able to share those formats among different media. But the most important, I think, thing that we worked on when we were down, all of our platforms really worked on custom moments. Triggers that allow for the right message to be in front of you at the right time. Remember, we're not a one-to-one format. We're a one-to-select few now. So this becomes more and more paramount. And this is, we've heard many ways this is being done now throughout some of the presentations today. During the World Cup, we really took advantage of this. We had a campaign for FIFA 23. When a goal was scored in the World Cup, every surrounding screen that we could get went on to that FIFA 23. It was a great execution, but it's a good example of custom triggers and what we're doing out there in market. And when I say we, I don't mean Hivestack. I mean all of us are doing this now. Shift to online video. I think Lucy did a really good job talking about this, as well as some of the other presentations. It's expensive to create multiple forms of creative. And whose job is it to help you? Well, I think the SSP, the AdServers, we can be a help here. We want the money, we want the campaigns. It's usually an Adobe account, and we're reformatting, resizing. It's possible. So we want to be your partners in this. But harnessing this more will allow for more of an omni-channel approach. What does that mean? You're able to pass some of the specs uniformly. It's going to be easier to buy now. I'm going to get into that a little bit more. But why not do both, right? If you create creative, you should be able to repurpose it. This is a huge problem in traditional TV. They're not able to do that very quickly, and they're not able to get that creative to a household that might represent a different type of buyer. One way we're doing this a little bit better than a traditional TV format is, let's say you have a home, and in that home there's an electric user versus a traditional user. You cannot figure that out in traditional TV right now. There's TVs in every different room. It's tough to surmise who's watching what TV. We can make certain assumptions, but I don't think you want us making assumptions when it's that much revenue at stake. It's too much magnitude. So to be able to do this in a multi-use creative format helps quite a bit with that spend. Further use of data, that's another big trend that we're seeing. It allows everything. It's leveraging data for precision and targeting. What I usually say is we are now the best things about brand awareness and reach extension with all the precision and accuracy other mediums have had before. And in fact, we are better at that. We are better at that. We're the oldest form of medium, but we've gotten the best at precision. In a fast against the CTV buy, you're not even sure which channel you're in a lot of times. They're unable to get that business intelligence that ultimately makes the difference on a performance level. This isn't a problem for us out of home. So data triggers, we discussed them. Custom APIs, we're able to surface reporting in real time. Custom messaging and contextual targeting. I think Josh did a great job at showing how we can repurpose creative very quickly. It doesn't have to have a huge splash. If you're sending the right message at the right place with a little bit of a cute creative slogan or jargon, it works well. So that's custom messaging and contextual targeting. Holistic full funnel approach. We're able to now join the rest of the mediums and be measured. So data powers more informed decisions. Look, there's things that go on, and in the static environment, if you're in a schedule and you've placed that ad, you're stuck there. Maybe there's something that you could be building a premium on. Maybe just identifying an open spot for yield becomes an issue. Right now, with programmatic, and I hate using the word programmatic because we're really just a revenue generating platform, we're able to surmise that opportunity, build upon yield, inject ads where they're supposed to be. None of that is possible in a static schedule environment. Cross-screen retargeting. You've heard a lot about maids and exposure. Well, this is all about the journey. We are able now to take you where you live to the store you go to. Figure out times that you can do that. We can do this without affecting PI or doing that with a cookie. It's all about exposure. And to be able to do that at the point of destination, the point of purchase, and everything there, you're going to be lower in the funnel. Modern take on digital out-of-home and ad serving. Well, this is kind of my specialty. I came to Hivestack 6 months ago after leading teams for Magnite and for Beachfront. Those are teams that catered to mediums like CTV and traditional television. What I can say is the SSPs and out-of-home are almost, if not more sophisticated than those SSPs. Those SSPs are highly reliant on demand-side platforms and their own managed service teams, just like we are. However, we trade in a currency that's uniform to the omni-channel. So when you think about how we've traditionally done this, we take a schedule, like I had said, we carve that out, we move it downstream. Well, that's a loop-based approach, right? And now we have an impression protocol approach, and you've got two worlds coming together right now. It shouldn't be one or the other. It needs to be holistic. Those two worlds need to be communicating. What we've done in CTV and TV, it's usually multiple ad servers. That's starting to happen with us, but a primary should be able to realize direct sales, enable that, serve that, and then uncover what's unsold. The problem is, a lot of times, that's done in a daisy chain. You have to wait for tiers to play out before you get exposure to other sales teams. We're going to talk about ways that we have a solution against that, but it's a problem. It's a problem that's plagued every medium before this one in programmatic and in direct sales. Again, it is not a combative situation. It needs to be holistic. You can sell out and then find new yield opportunities. It should be communicating with one another. And the benefits of a digital ad server versus a loop, just a straight loop, none of this is possible in a schedule, in a static environment. All of that is heavily dependent upon humans and teams. And I'm not looking to replace humans or teams. What we're looking to do is streamline that process to make your jobs easier so you guys can focus on more important things like building sales or getting closer to your customer. Carving out a schedule is heavily operationally based, sometimes in the wrong role. So integrating with demand becomes possible. It's a reduction of cost and work. It saves time and money. A CFO realizes that. You can optimize yield management across partners or brands or audiences. Algorithms. It doesn't matter. Let's say the power goes down. A lot of our SSPs and our ad servers have smooth catch-up capability. Mean we can optimize a campaign to deliver. Nothing worse than leaving money on the table. That doesn't happen in our world. Agile and responsive. It's just because you have a schedule in place A lot of times that could be even remnant or preemptible inventory or demand. Maybe you want to be able to sell over that. Maybe you want to be able to find spots where there's open and no ads present and you're placing a PSA for fill. None of that is possible in a static environment. Some more benefits you guys can read, but obviously we're talking about streamlining things in a dynamic manner. Cross-channel application becomes possible. Measurement and accountability become feasible. Buying efficiencies and aggregation is no longer an issue. It just goes on and on. It's simple, it's more revenue equals more work. That's what I had said earlier. I don't think we want to be building schedules. I think we want to sell our product. We want to work with our teams. And then finally, header bidding for digital out-of-home. It's a really interesting time, right? Mediation happens, like I had said, in a tier structure. But in CTV, in online advertising, there's just way too much bid activity to kind of play a daisy chain and let that flow down this way. So what we did in CTV and other mediums before even out of home was flatten out that ad call. That ad call is a unified auction across all buyers. The difference between an SSP and an ad server doing that is not favoring your own SSP. This is not appropriate necessarily for direct sales. Maybe you deploy this in your unspoken for sales, but the best way to create a fair auction is through this process. Everyone is going to see the same ad opportunity at the same time. Where this becomes important, though, is what parameters are passed to the buyer. And that's what we're all working on together. I mentioned Vistar, Broadsign, Place Exchange, Hivestack. We look at ourselves at trying to basically establish that standards and work together, even though we're competitors. It's really strange to hear, but it's happened in other mediums. It happened in CTV. And what's happening now is we're getting together, we're putting our differences aside, and we're discussing the easiest way that we can pass an ad call so a buyer can clearly understand the dimensions, where it is the screen, what's playing on the screen, what is the screen. In CTV, we pass things called IFA, Screen ID, IDFA. All of these standards bubbled up through header bidding. We all work there. We're bringing that intelligence now to out-of-home. Us and a few others I mentioned are on pre-bid, as well as a few other organizations and social committees that are beginning to discuss this so that there is no confusion. Everyone is on the same page. No one feels like someone's taking the lead. So this is happening, and it hasn't really happened other than CTV that I've seen before. Putting aside your differences to create that rising tide. Because really the only job we have is either enablement or being able to make a transaction happen. So this is going to be all helpful for that. Seamless omni-channel connectivity. Why this is last and why those other things have to come before this is that's the currency they trade in. So if you're in a schedule or a loop, or if you're in TV and it's gross ratings points, a GRP doesn't translate necessarily to an impression model. So this is why we have to do that. In order to get to those big brands, they want to trade in a currency that's uniform to other mediums. The only way to do that is to push that through an impression model. Granted, some of you still are on schedule and a loop-based, and that's appropriate. They can coexist. But for you to get some of that omni-channel budget, they want to deal in the currency of impressions. Here's some of the DSPs we work with across the globe that are working with us in that manner. They work with the other SSPs I've mentioned as well. We are trying to create an ecosystem where everything is fair. And then finally, never miss a beat. I think it's our job to make your jobs easier. And this is about creative approval. I heard someone say something about Times Square being worried about putting a creative that could be offensive. It doesn't happen. Creative approval has to happen in out-of-home. It's unlike CTV or TV where you can have multiple brands rotating without an approval process. That's built for speed, as are we, but we are not, in our industry, we're in huge billboards, and we cannot take that chance. So what we've done is create an app on iOS. We listen to our media owners. Wherever you are, you can you can approve that creative. We're not looking to create churn. It's just been a big win for us. That's my only Hivestack plug. Supply Spotlight. Here's some of the media owners we work with. They're very familiar. Some are in this room. But you like to see how we're not catering to just place-based or just spectacular-based. We want a nice diversified supply chain so our buyers can come in and find whatever their screen is necessary. And that's it. I tried to go as fast as possible. I know you guys are eating. I can take any question, and I'd love to talk to you guys throughout the next few days. I didn't want to get too heavy on the technical aspects, but willing to go there as well when you speak to me, and thanks for your time.